I never imagined my wife would be the one to bring it up. We were sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in her hand, a dull rom-com playing in the background. She looked over at me like she was about to ask if I wanted to order dessert. But instead she said, "Have you ever thought about going to a swing party?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. But she didn't laugh with me, she just stared at me, waiting. My smile faltered. "You're serious?" "Yeah," she said, shrugging like it was nothing. Just something different, something exciting. I didn't know what to say. Emma and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. Things were good, or so I thought. We had routines, comfort, and I never once doubted her loyalty. This felt like it came from nowhere. She started talking fast, like she had prepared for this. "It's not cheating. Everyone there is consenting. It's just sex, not love. It's not emotional." I looked at her, trying to figure out who I was talking to. "Are you not happy?" "I am," she said. "But being happy doesn't mean we can't try new things. I'm not trying to replace you. I just want to explore together." Her words echoed, but none of them felt right. I kept waiting for the catch. Was this a trap? Was she testing me? My gut twisted, but I didn't want to seem insecure or possessive. So I asked, "Have you done this before?" She shook her head. "Number I heard about a party happening next weekend. I thought maybe we could go, just see what it's like." No pressure. No pressure. That's what she said, but the air suddenly felt heavy. I asked her, "Why now?" Emma hesitated for the first time. "We're still young. I don't want us to look back with regrets. I love you, but I don't want to feel like I missed something." I couldn't tell if that was honest or rehearsed. Maybe both. I stared at the wall for a moment, trying to picture how something like this even works. Couples, strangers, touching each other like it's nothing. I asked her again, "You're sure this isn't cheating?" She nodded. "Not if we both agree to it." She made it sound simple, clinical even, like it was just a new cuisine we hadn't tried. I felt like saying no, but I also didn't want to be the guy who kills his wife's curiosity with fear. So I said yes. I told myself it was just one night, a look, not a leap. But something about her confidence made me wonder if she was already halfway gone. As she leaned back into the couch, satisfied with my answer, I didn't feel closer to her. I felt like I had just lost something I didn't know was up for negotiation. We pulled up to the house just after 9. From the outside, it looked like any upscale suburban home, warm lights, trimmed hedges, a quiet street. But as soon as the door opened, everything changed. Music pulsed low through the floor, and people moved with a kind of ease that made me feel instantly out of place. Emma smiled as if she belonged. She squeezed my hand and led me in. I followed, stiff, scanning the room. Couples stood in clusters, drinks in hand, their laughter light and private. No one looked nervous. I wondered if they'd all done this before. Someone offered us champagne. Emma accepted without hesitation. I took mine just to have something to hold. We sat on a couch, and a couple across from us smiled and said hello like we were new neighbours. Their names slipped out of my memory almost instantly. I nodded, pretending to listen as they talked to Emma. She was engaged, laughing easily, crossing her legs with that relaxed confidence I used to think only I got to see. I could barely focus. Every direction I looked, someone was touching someone else. Not crudely, just hands on knees, shoulders, brushing hair away. Comfortable, intimate. I didn't understand how they made it look so normal. The man across from us, Jake, I think, kept his eyes on Emma. He leaned in a little too close when he spoke to her. She didn't back away. She smiled. I felt something rise in my throat, but I swallowed it. Then she turned to me and said, "We're just going to talk. You okay?" I nodded before I even knew what I was agreeing to. She stood and walked off with him, leaving me on the couch with my untouched drink and a strange woman now sitting beside me. She introduced herself, I forget her name too, and started asking questions like we were on a first date. I answered out of politeness, but my eyes kept drifting toward the hallway Emma had disappeared down. I told myself I'd be fine. This was what we agreed to. She was just talking. But 10 minutes passed, then 20. I got up, wandered around, laughed when someone cracked a joke I didn't hear. Then I saw them. Down the hall, Jake's hand on her lower back, guiding her into a room. She looked over her shoulder and caught my eye. She didn't stop walking, just gave me a small smile, like a signal. Or maybe a goodbye. The door closed behind them. I stood there, staring. My hands were cold. I didn't know if I should be angry or understanding or numb. I had agreed to this. I said yes. But nothing about this felt like agreement. It felt like surrender. And I realized then, whatever line we thought we'd drawn, she had already crossed it. The drive home was quiet. Emma didn't say a word, and I didn't ask any questions. The silence between us was heavier than anything either of us could have said. Her phone buzzed once. She looked at it, smiled faintly, then put it away like it meant nothing. But it meant something to me. Back at the apartment, she moved around like it was just another night. Took off her heels, washed her face, asked if I was okay. I nodded because I didn't trust myself to speak. I didn't want to explode, not yet. Not while I still didn't understand what had just happened. She sat next to me on the bed, legs crossed, like nothing had shifted. "I hope you're not mad," she said, like I was being unreasonable for not smiling. I turned to her, finally finding my voice. "Did you sleep with him?" She didn't flinch. "Yes, but that's what the night was about, wasn't it?" "Number, it was about seeing what it was like, feeling things out. You disappeared with him." For an hour she tilted her head. "I thought we agreed. It was physical, not emotional. You knew what kind of party it was." I didn't know how to explain it to her. How the image of her walking away, knowing she was choosing someone else, even temporarily, didn't feel like an experiment. It felt like betrayal. "I watched you leave," I said. "You looked back and still went." Her voice softened. "I wasn't trying to hurt you." "But you did." She got quiet, and I think that silence was her admission, not of guilt, but of calculation. She had weighed the cost. I just wasn't prepared to be the price. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. She climbed in next to me and reached for my hand. I let her, not because I forgave her, but because I needed to remember how it used to feel. Her touch, her presence. But it felt different now, like a memory pretending to be real. That night I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about our wedding, how her hands trembled when she held mine, how she cried during her vows. I thought about our first apartment, cheap furniture, ramen dinners, falling asleep on the couch together. All of it seemed so far away now. By morning she was acting normal, making coffee, talking about the week ahead. I couldn't match her energy. I couldn't pretend the ground hadn't shifted. She had compartmentalized everything, sealed the night into a box and moved on. I hadn't. I watched her pour her coffee, humming to herself, like nothing happened. And I knew then, this wasn't something we'd walk away from unchanged. Even if we stayed together, something had broken, and she couldn't see it because she didn't feel it, but I did. I spent the next few days going through the motions. Wake up, shower, pretend. Emma acted like everything was fine, like we'd just tried something adventurous and moved on. But I was stuck, not on the act itself, but on what it meant, on how easily she detached from it, on how quickly she recovered. She said it brought her clarity, that it made her appreciate what we had even more. But I didn't feel appreciated. I felt replaced, even if just for a night. She said it wasn't emotional, but it felt like she made an emotional choice. A choice to experience something without me, even while I was in the same building. A choice to ignore the look on my face when she walked away. I tried to talk about it. I said I wasn't okay, that I couldn't unsee what I saw, couldn't unfeel what I felt. She listened with that same calm expression she always used when she thought I was overreacting. She said I was holding on to a moment that didn't mean anything, that it was just physical, just curiosity. She kept using that word, curiosity, like it excused everything. I asked her if she missed him. She laughed, shook her head. It wasn't like that. But she didn't deny liking it. She didn't hide that it made her feel wanted, desired, free. I was beginning to understand that this had less to do with me and more to do with her craving something I couldn't offer anymore. So I stopped talking. I started observing, watching how she moved, how she smiled when she read her texts, how she seemed lighter somehow, even happier. And I felt heavier, like I was carrying both of our guilt. She'd already set hers down. I thought about leaving. Packed a bag once, sat in the car for 2 hours, but didn't start the engine. Part of me was afraid. Afraid that leaving would make it real, that the version of us I wanted to believe in would vanish the second I stepped out the door. The other part of me stayed because I was still trying to understand what happened, still hoping I was wrong, that maybe it really was harmless, that maybe I was the one being irrational. But every time I looked at her, I remembered how easily she let someone else touch her. Not just her body, but her permission, her smile, her comfort. And it made me question everything that came before. If that trust could be given so quickly to someone else, was it ever really mine? One night I told her I needed space. She didn't fight it. She nodded, almost relieved, said she understood. I packed slowly, deliberately. She stood by the door, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. As I walked out, she said, "It wasn't cheating." I turned to her, and I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just said, "Then why does it feel like you broke something I can't put back?"